Hey there, folks. Shark Week, Shark Fest, Shark Month, Talk Shark, whatever we want to call it, is here. Let's talk about shark stuff. And yes, upon your request, talking about The Reef 2010. No, I had not seen this movie. I thought I had. I realized now, as I was trying to just finalize some prep, that there is a sequel prequel for the Reef. So maybe that's the one that I saw that I thought was called the Reef. But this is like open waters, kind of on steroids. A little bit more money, a bigger cast, kind of a different approach to some of the editing and some of the shots. Very, very interesting film in the sense of trying to bring you or immerse you in that experience and the horror of being trapped at sea with the sharks and how to survive. So, the Reef is an Australian film, Australian cast, Australian concept. What was fascinating is how much the Australian government got involved a little bit to ensure that they didn't put like a based on true story warning or statement or anything like that because they felt like it would negatively affect the tourist industry and those kinds of things. So fascinating. Premise is based on a real story, though. Like this is loosely based. I mean, obviously, it was a guy lost at sea, those kinds of things, similar kind of things. Boat capsizes. So here's the thing, and it's by far the biggest criticism. But once it gets going, and I guess if I were going to watch the film again, you in theory could just quite literally skip the first what, 30, 40, 50 minutes where there's little to no sharks. There's just nothing. That's not it, right? It's all this setup, all this intrigue, survival with the boat upside down. There's movement in the water. You don't see a whole lot. Then you get to some sharks and things like that. What they do great is they use different cutaways where the main character, his name is Luke, right? Yeah, Luke. He'll put his face in the water with his mask on, and you can see in the water. Now, because of how they shot it, and in Australia, they used a lot of light, you can actually see things. Whereas a lot of other movies, it's very, very dark. And I know from my own personal experience going down very far, don't go down very far because then you definitely cannot see anything. So they do a really good job of creating that intrigue and that even when there is a shark, if you slow this down and you look at the edits, you can see exactly where they have like a shark, a live shark, and where the person is and things like that. Because obviously they film the shark stuff in a very safe environment and things like that. But they did a really, really good job of immersing you into that suspense and horror element of shark attacks and that kind of thing. And really, if I had to say another criticism is the implication is it's just one shark. Now, I don't know why the one shark would feed on someone and still be hungry or interested in going after others, other than just being like a territorial thing. If that's the case, we wouldn't see other sharks. Like they would be keeping the other sharks away as well. So that'd be the only like caveat with it. For a low budget film like this, which is again 2010, $3 million, almost $4 million. Um, I don't think it really landed well from a box office standpoint, but it's sort of like a nice cult favorite for folks that are into shark movies. Obviously, this whole concept of Shark Week and all that has kind of ignited that. It's on Tubi for free, so it's really pretty easy to kind of get to. So let's go through a little bit of the elements with the film, give you some more illustrations, jar my memory as well. So um, they just do a really good job of kind of just setting up sort of like relationshipy stuff early on, going out on this yacht. You've got boyfriend, girlfriend, uh, boyfriend's sister, and former boyfriend, who is the guy who basically has a living of delivering yachts for a living. Like he just moves yachts around the world. And so you have all of this relationshipy type stuff that they did say, well, maybe this is for the American version or came along later. But what I was reading was during the theatrical release in Australia. So I don't know about the initial theatrical release. There was statements about they didn't want it to say based on real events, based on true story, because of the impact on tourism. So I don't know. Maybe I read something was wrong. So anyway, great shots, great underwater sequences for such a low budget film. I thought the cast did a fine job for what they had to work with. And they hit something, which is presumed to be some of the coral, but they could have easily hit something else. And then it causes, and the end result is the boat ends up capsizing and they're kind of they're trapped. They don't know what to do. They're several miles away from the coast. I think there's a comment about being like 11 or 12 miles away. And it's like, what do? You're stranded. You're trapped, right? So they do a really good job again of kind of, what else is out there, and they definitely have a little bit of a back and forth. Like, what do we do? This guy doesn't want to leave. He's like, well, there's going to be sharks. We're not going to make it. I don't know. There's a beacon, but they set up the fact that this type of beacon is outdated, so therefore a plane or something has to get really close for it to actually work. So they break off things from the inside of the boat and they head to the water. They got those little things to kind of help them stay afloat. Um, and they just kind of head out in the water. And then it takes a long time. And this is the kind of shots that you get. You get cutaways back and forth, under the water, up at them, over aerial shots, them at water level. And ultimately you do have moments where the sharks do arrive, and the sharks, start to get curious and aggressive and things like this. So there's a great shot of Luke looking underneath. Yeah, that's what you get. I really did enjoy it. The trailer does a really good job of, because what they'll do in trailers too. Again, this is a technique that you'll see when you're talking about the horror films, suspense film. They'll use black cuts in between, so the cuts will be short and fast with these black dissolves, and you can see how close they put the splash there, the animal there. So great stuff. Again, this makes it a little hard to watch a trailer because there's so many edits. It's so crazy, but they're definitely going. Yeah, see how they do the cuts and things like that. They're really, really ramping it up, trying to get this thing. Now, here's a good shot of one of the sharks. So you can see how they definitely did the editing there, where you have a shot of the shark, you cut away, person in the water, blah, 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 and they just, they have blood and whatever. So you don't necessarily have, them in the water with the sharks. It's kind of like the way they did with open water. Very good. Extreme reactions, extreme stuff that you would expect that, causes for everyone to have a good reaction to everything. It's just how it is. So, I was really pleasantly surprised with this movie. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it's quite a bit too long of not having sharks to be like a really, really good film or anything like that. Like, it's not like I'm going to be out there like a high recommend, because for a shark movie, not a lot of sharks. I mean, do you think there's oh, okay. But for what is accomplished, once it gets going, I think it delivers pretty well. So that's my take on it. Definitely have some others coming up for you. Love to hear your thoughts and suggestions as we kind of roll through some other shark content for July. It's great to be here with you guys talking about this kind of stuff. Thank you so much for watching. I am Pops.